What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Hope y'all doing good. How's your day? Hope your day was going. I hope you guys' day is going well as you're watching this. But anyways, today I decided to do a sit down chit chat video. You know, I haven't done one of these in a while, let's just say. And I know my YouTube game is kind of like in and out. Like, I haven't posted. Let's see, let's go on my channel real quick. I haven't actually, you know what, it hasn't even been that long. I haven't posted in a month, and actually have a good reason. Like, as you guys obviously saw in like the last video that I made, which was the vlog, was the bridal shower. So let me just explain about that. So that was my sister's bridal shower. So after that bridal shower went down and all that, then came the wedding, which was around like September 5th. I was gonna make a vlog for that wedding, but since I was like the maid of honor and one of like the dancers for my sister's wedding, I just did not feel like that was necessary. I felt like, let me just give you guys a bridal shower vlog instead of the whole wedding, because the wedding was long. And I know that you guys are seeing that my background is different. I know y'all are seeing that. Y'all are peeping that. You see some decorations. I know y'all seen all that. But that's because right now I'm in my sister's house. I'm not in my house as I usually would be, because I just felt like I needed a new scenery. Like, I know you guys got tired of seeing that scenery, like the white wall in my room. Trust me, I got tired of seeing that too. So I was like, you know what? Let me just give y'all something new. Yeah, that's kind of why I've been gone for like a month. I did not mean to like stretch it to that long, but I had to really get myself together. I was still recovering from my sister's wedding, which was like literally a month ago. So yeah, but now I'm fully recovered. I'm good now. Your girl is good to go. Your girl is ready to get back on her grind, and that's exactly what we're doing in this video today. In today's video, I'm basically going to be talking about how to get out of a spiritual rut, what to do when you're in it, and how to know when you're in it. I'm basically going to be talking about like those three things: what to do, and how to know that you're in it. All that, basically, because I have been in a spiritual rut. And yes, I'm drinking cranberry juice, FYI. It's good for the pH balance. But anyways, TMI, I'm so sorry. But anyways, a spiritual rut, in my definition, is like, in my opinion, I mean, not definition, but anyways, a spiritual rut is, for me, like, personally, it means like, it's kind of like when you lose your fire for God. Like, you lose that like passion, that desire, that fire that you literally have for God. Like let's say, for example, me, I'm the type of person, I pray every day. There has not been a day that goes by that I have not prayed. When I say prayed, I literally mean like, some of you, I don't know if some of you guys know like the story of the book of Daniel, but I'm kind of like Daniel in a way. How Daniel, even though he had a lot going on, he still took the time to pray to God 3 times a day. He literally did that, pray 3 times in a day. That's kind of how I see my relationship with God. Like, I talk to him every day. I pray. And when I say pray, I'm not talking about like damn like them prayers that's like fiery up. Like, sometimes there's like certain prayers you can pray, or you can just talk to God personally. I choose to see it as me talking to God, you know. But yeah, spiritual, I feel like personally, being in a spiritual rut is like losing that desire, that not passion, but that love that you once had for God. Like, when you first had an encounter with him, you knew that, oh my gosh, I'm literally following God. I'm gonna lay down my life for God. Like, I'm just gonna follow him with everything I have. You're just gonna give your life, your heart, everything in you. You're gonna give every part of you to God. Like, that desire, that fire that you once had for God, it's slowly starting to fade away. And it's like, you don't know what to do about it, because your mind is everywhere. Your thoughts are just not really there. Like, they're all over the place. And it's kind of like depression in a way, but a spiritual depression. if that makes sense. Like there's depression where like the world says depression, like the definition of what the world describes or defines as depression. And there's, I feel like, spiritual depression, where it's like you lose that desire, that fire, and that love that you once had for God. You just, it's not that you lose it, it's more like it's there, but it's like, because you know that the enemy, the devil, attacks. He does not want any of us getting closer to God. So he will attack you to the point where he does not want you getting closer to God. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But yeah, a spiritual rut for me is like just forgetting about God, forgetting, like kind of like struggling. It's like you're struggling to find that love, that fire that you once had for God. Like that fire where it's like you would wake up in the morning, like play worship music, just worship, dance your heart out, and just talk to God every morning, read the Bible day and night. That's the spiritual, that's the fire, that desire that you had for God, just slowly starting to fade away. And it's like, it's hard as hell to get that fire that you had for him. It's hard to get it back. I mean, it's possible to get it back, but you have to be willing. Like, you have to be willing to get it back. You can't, like, some people don't usually get it back. Some people, it's like a permanent spiritual rut. It's like, it's not even a rut anymore. It's just they don't want God, period. But other people, if you really love God with all your heart, like you feel like you can't live without him, you can get back that fire, that desire for God again. You can get it back. But if you never really, if you're like Judas and you never really loved God the way you thought you did, because even if you say you love God, God knows our hearts. He knows who loves him and who does not, who pretends. And Judas was one of those people that was pretending. He just followed God because of what God could offer him, what God could give him. So if you're a Judas, check yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. But like I said, I'm kind of all over the place, but I hope you guys kind of got what a spiritual rut is. I'm gonna just summarize it in case I didn't really clarify it, like make it clear enough. A spiritual rut is basically losing that desire, that fire, that love that you once had for God. Like you had the love, but it slowly faded away. And a spiritual rut, you can get into a spiritual rut by like a lot of things, and the main thing is distraction. If you're not around things that make you get closer to God, that's one of the ways that you will fall into that spiritual rut, and that's even way worse. The reason why I kind of decided to make this video specifically is because I actually was in a spiritual rut. Like I think it was like a few months before my sister's wedding, like around like June or July, or I think it was like August, somewhere around those times. I was literally in a deep spiritual rut. And before I explain how to get out of a spiritual rut, or what to do when you're in a spiritual rut, I'm going to explain how to know when you're in a spiritual rut. Because how are you going to know how to get out of a spiritual rut and what to do when you're in it, when you don't even know what it is? Like, you don't even know when you're actually, how you would know when you're actually in that spiritual rut. You wouldn't even know how to get out of it if you don't know when you're in it. Like, it doesn't even make sense, you know? It does not make sense. So I'm going to explain to you guys how to know when you're in a spiritual rut. But before we really get into this video, before I really dive into how to know when you're in it and all those, you know, details, before we get into this video completely, I just want to say, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified on whenever I post new videos for y'all every week, or whenever you see one pop out, you know, because your girl is a little, I be trying. Y'all know, y'all see me, I be trying. Like, I be falling back a little bit sometimes, but I come back stronger, and that's on period. That's on period. period. But yeah, and for those of you that are new, because I know I've seen a few new faces on my channel, for those of you that are new to my channel or now see my face for the first time, if you're new and see my face for the first time, hi, my name is Dorcas. I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I do like a lot of like spiritual talks, like faith-based talks, whatever you want to call it. I talk about my faith, I share my faith. I started sharing it since like last year, I would say. But yeah, and if you really want to know like a whole background story about my faith and everything, you can watch one of my videos that's called How to Build Your Personal Relationship with God, or My Spiritual Journey. Either one of those two videos talk about like where my walk with God kind of started, sort of. One of those videos talks about where it started. I will leave it in the description below for those of you that are new to my channel. But hi. But anyways, let's just dive into this video. How to know when you're in a spiritual rut. Like I said from the start, like I said like a while ago, when you're slowly losing your faith. Because I don't know about anybody else out there that are watching that's watching my video. Hold on. Oh. Anyways, I don't know about anybody else out there that watches my video or in general, but like me personally as a Christian, I'm pretty sure like every Christian experiences this, and it's not just me. If it is, then I don't know. But anyways, one way that I'm in a spiritual rut is when anyone is in a spiritual rut, I would say, is when you slowly start to lose your faith. But for me personally, let me just speak from personal experience so that you guys can really kind of like, because I like connecting with you guys. Obviously you can tell by a lot of my videos on my channel. But anyways, for me personally, for me to be in a spiritual rut, I slowly start to lose my faith. For me to get in a spiritual rut, I will literally, how I know now that okay, I'm in a spiritual rut is when I start questioning my faith. Like I slowly start like losing it. When I start losing it, and when I say questioning, like when I say I slowly start losing my faith, I mean I will start questioning God, if God is even real. I will question the Bible. I will even have like, I'm even gonna have conversations with my mom about it. I'm even gonna like watch YouTube videos about whether like this is real, this is not real. Like I just do a lot of like research, exploring. Basically I'm just an explorer. I like to know. I like question whether God is even real, whether God is out there. And sometimes I even question how humans were created. Like and when I question when that part of me starts losing faith, it's hard for me to pray sometimes. In fact, actually no, yeah, it's hard for me to pray sometimes, even open up my Bible, start to question my faith. And sometimes I will literally skip church. Once I'm in a spiritual rut, I will skip church like there's no tomorrow. Like I will miss like a week or like a whole month. I know it sounds bad, but I will miss like maybe a few weeks or a month of church. I've done it before. I'm not proud of it, but I have. We're not perfect. No one is perfect. God does not expect us to be perfect, obviously. But yeah, I've done that before. Like I've literally skipped church. I will literally tell my mom that, nah, I'm just gonna pray at home today. And it's not that I'm lying. I actually do pray at home, but it's even harder for me to actually pray at home, because one of the reasons why I love going to church, and I feel like going to church is more effective than staying home and telling yourself that you're actually going to do church at home, is because when you're at home, there's so many things that can distract you. You're not actually, like, if you're actually willing, you actually love God and you desire him, you have a burning desire in your heart for him, then yeah, it's not going to be that hard for you to do church. But if you're like me and you get distracted, it's kind of hard, because like there's so many things. Like people can call you, you can go on social media, and you're just not going to be focused on God. Even if you have your Bible, in your presence, because I do physical Bible. I do not like the Bible app. I cannot. I deleted that Bible app off my phone since last year. I do not do no damn phone Bible. Like, I don't even believe in a phone Bible. Like, I feel like that's even a bigger distraction, because you're not getting nothing from a phone Bible. You cannot tell me nothing. I won't believe you. I will even argue with you. But anyways, sometimes I will talk to God, but not consistently. Like, I will talk to him about the things that I'm questioning about him, but I won't really like talk to him in a way as if I'm trying to build with him. I will talk to him as if, are you even real? As if like I'm either angry or upset at him. And I've even had conversations with my friends about this. Like, whenever I'm in a spiritual rut, the one person that I talk to about this, she knows exactly who she is. Thank you, girl, for always helping me. You know exactly who you are, and I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna watch this video. So thank you. Because this girl, every time I'm literally like in a spiritual rut, this girl, the way she motivates me, she just reminds me of how important God is, and like how God does not expect us to be perfect. Another way that you're gonna know whether how you're in a spiritual rut is when you're fighting God. This, honestly, it's kind of like the same thing as you're losing your faith. When you're fighting God, you're choosing not to like accept that God is real. When you're questioning him, you're choosing to deny him instead of accept the fact that he's real, that he's there, and he wants to help you. You're choosing to like deny him, like deny that he's actually real, he's actually there, he can help you. You're choosing to believe that there is no God and all that. That's what I mean by you're fighting God. You're choosing not you're choosing not to allow God to do what he's supposed to do through you. That's another way of knowing that you're in a spiritual rut. When you're fighting God, you're fighting your faith, you're fighting him. Because when God wants to work through you, he will work through you. But if you're not allowing him, when I say you're not allowing him, I mean like you're choosing to run away from God. You just run away, you keep running, you literally. And when I say fighting God, I mean like you're choosing to do the things of the world instead of just turning to God. Instead of just letting him come in your life, having open arms for him, opening your heart and everything to him, you're choosing to run away from God even though he keeps reaching out his hands to you. Another way to know when you're in a spiritual rut is this part. I literally hate it. I hate it with a passion, bro. One of the ways, at least for me, big time for me, that I will know I'm in a spiritual rut is when I don't even have it in me to pray, like to spend time with God or anything. Like, because I have had those days before, and like I said, God knows that we're not perfect. Sometimes we speak to him, sometimes we choose not to. At the end of the day, it's a choice. That's why God gave us free will to choose what to do, what not to do. You know, God gave us free will for a reason, to choose whether we want to serve him, accept him, or not. Just live our best life until the end, or just, you know, you do you, and that's all I gotta say. But another way, like I was saying, is when you don't have it in you to pray. And this is definitely, I would say, how you would know that you're in a spiritual rut. Like when you just don't have it in you to pray. You can literally sit in your room or in your patio or wherever it is that you feel comfortable praying. Sit there for hours and just sometimes you don't really have to open your mouth, because God can hear your heart. He can hear what you're saying even through your heart. You don't have to actually say words. But sometimes even praying through your heart just feels impossible. It's like you're praying, but you like, I feel like one of the things that's really helpful when you're in a spiritual rut is it's better to pray in your heart than it is to pray out loud. Because even though you don't have it in you to pray with your mouth, God can still hear your heart. That's just how I see it. Like my mom has always told me, if you can't pray out loud, pray in your heart. God can still hear you, and he will help you regardless. But that's like one of the worst ways to know that you're in a spiritual rut. Like when you just don't have it in you to pray, and you don't have it in you to read the Bible at all. Like it's like, for me personally, when I'm in a spiritual rut, like when I look at the Bible, I swear I don't want to see it. I will throw it. God, please forgive me for saying this, but I will throw my Bible. I will just like put it far away from me, because it just, when I'm in spiritual rut, I don't want to see the thing that I'm questioning, because it's just gonna make me angry. I know that sounds bad, but that's just how I am. It's gonna throw me off somehow. I don't know how. I can't explain it. Like maybe I have issues when you're having a hard time to pray. You don't even have it in you. Like you literally have to force yourself to pray, and sometimes that doesn't even work. That literally doesn't work. But then again, it depends on you. Another way, this way, I would say this is actually like, it works in different ways. There's like different meanings for this other way. Another way is when you feel as if God is silent. But I would say for this, it really depends, because sometimes God is not silent, because you think God is silent, but God has not left you. He's still there, but maybe he's actually working something out for you. You don't know, but just because you can't see him doesn't mean he's not there. And this one quote that I've always seen, I'm just going to summarize what the quote says. Remember that the teacher is always silent during the test. So if God is silent, it's not because of any like bad negative reasons. He's silent because he's probably working something through you or for you. He's gonna bless you, or whatever the case may be. But sometimes others, like, we look at it in a negative way, because we're like, why is God silent? We want God like every single day, every second, every minute of the day. But God sometimes, the same way that we take a break, the same way that we ghost people just to like have time for ourselves, we turn off our phones, we choose not to text nobody, we do all that just to have like some time for ourselves. I feel like that's kind of what God does when he goes silent on us, when he ghosts us. He's not ghosting us for no bad reason. He's ghosting us because he's doing something for us or through us that we can't see, but we will later on understand at some point. Another way to know that you're in a spiritual rut is being in a depressive state. Being in a depressive state of mind. I'm pretty sure I already spoke on this, like I already touched up on this part, but just in case some of you guys didn't really understand when I was touching on that part, basically I feel like being in a spiritual rut is kind of like being depressed. You just don't feel like doing anything. You're kind of lazy and you don't know why. You just don't get it. Like you just feel like this heaviness on your chest. Like you literally feel like bawling your eyes out, and you're just sad and you don't understand why. And you don't want to be around anybody. You want to be left alone. That's how I see being in a spiritual rut, as it's kind of like being depressed in a way. Another way you would know that you're in a spiritual rut is finding it hard to want to go to church or worshiping God, whether on your time or on your own time. Like making the time. Like I said, for me personally, like I said, God knows that we're not perfect, obviously, and I feel like God is not just in church. Obviously, he's everywhere. You can praise God, you can worship him at church, in your bedroom, in the bathroom, in the shower. You can worship him at a restaurant, when you're eating, when you're praying, you're blessing your food before you eat it. You can worship him around your friends, anywhere you like. You can worship him when you're swimming, whatever the case may be. God is everywhere. Like, when I say God is everywhere, he is everywhere. He's not just in church. God is not just in church, sweetie. He's not just in church. He is everywhere. God has eyes everywhere. Literally, just like God is not just with you, he is with everybody. Remember that. When you will know that you're in a spiritual rut, when you find it hard to do anything that's God related, like going to church, reading your Bible, like having like your own worship session, worship moment, listening to gospel, worship music. When you find it hard to do anything that's God related, that has anything to do with God, that's how you will know that you are in a spiritual rut. Like going to church is like it's kind of like the worst part, but not really, because like I said, God is everywhere. Even if you don't go to church, it's not like that's a sin not to go to church. Like some people, I've heard that some people find it better when they're not in a church, because some people don't agree with the messages that are being preached at church. And honestly, I don't disagree with them. I honestly respect anybody that chooses not to go to church, that chooses to serve God in their own way, as long as they feel like God is the one leading them to serve them in that way, to serve him in that way. I fully respect your decision. God is not just in church, but the one way you will know that you're in a spiritual rut is when you find it hard doing anything God related. Anything that has to do with God, if you find it hard, if you find it so hard in your heart, in your chest, to do anything that God is in, you know, that's how you will know you're in a spiritual rut. Another way that you'll know that you're in a spiritual rut is when you feel lost and stuck. And that also kind of like goes back to being depressed, to being in a depressive state. When you're depressed, you feel lost, you feel stuck, you feel like you can't even explain how you're feeling. You just feel you feel empty. You don't know what to do with your life or with yourself. And even if people give you bare advice, you still feel like you're lost with yourself. You're lost within yourself. You just don't know what to do. Even if people keep giving you advice, you just still don't know. You feel like you've lost that part. You feel like there's a hole inside of you that you can't fill it with anything else. Like that person that needs to fill you, which is God, you're not allowing him to fill you because you'd rather be miserable in that depressive state and let him come to you and fill that hole that's inside. Only God can fill that emptiness that's making you depressed. Remember that. I'm gonna say it again. Only God can fill that emptiness. He can fill that emptiness that's in you. Nothing else can fill it. Not a partner, not a friend, not no damn relationship, not another way. This kind of also has to like go back to being depressed and feeling lost and stuck, is questioning yourself. You're literally like, when I say questioning yourself, I mean like questioning yourself, your existence, your purpose, what you're supposed to do with your life. Like when you're in a spiritual rut, you'll feel, it's kind of like I said, kind of like being depressed. You'll feel like you haven't accomplished anything. You feel like you're still doing the same thing you were last year, or people are further than you in life. You're just questioning a lot about you, a lot about your life, and you just it kind of feels like being in a midlife crisis in a way, I would say. But yeah, questioning yourself, I guess, questioning your life, your purpose, everything about you, and you just questioning it. But yeah, those are the ways you will know that you're in a spiritual rut. Now, what to do when you're in that spiritual rut, that's a whole different case. What to do when you're in, wait, hold on. What to do when you're in a spiritual rut. The number one thing that I would suggest doing, like the most important out of any, if you don't do anything else, do this, please. When you're in the spirit, like some people have this like this habit or this mentality of when they're in something that they don't like, They want to get out of it as quickly as they can. Me, on the other hand, I'm such like a deep person that I want to process every single thought, every thought that I have about something, that even if it's uncomfortable, I want to process it, because that's what growth is about. And I feel like being in a spiritual rut is kind of my way of growing closer to God as well. That's just how I see it, but I guess everybody is different. But anyways, like I was trying to say, when you're in a spiritual rut, I'm begging you, please do this. Process those thoughts that's going through your mind about God, about your faith, anything that you're struggling with when you're in a spiritual rut. Process those thoughts. Don't just avoid it, because the whole point, I think, or I believe that being in a spiritual rut is like, I feel like God wants you to process those thoughts. He doesn't just want you to avoid it. I feel like God even puts us in a spiritual rut so that it can help us grow closer to him. It can strengthen our faith. The faith that we have in him, it can strengthen it. That's the whole point of the spiritual rut. But that's just the way I see it. But you know, everyone is different. Some people might see it in a negative way, other people might see it in a positive way. We all different, so don't come at me for that. But what I would suggest is process those thoughts. Do not ignore it. Don't avoid it. Don't try to fill it with other things. Don't avoid those thoughts. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's not normal for you to feel it, to process those ideas, those thoughts. Even if it brings you into a darker place, it might be hard to get out of that dark place, but stay in that dark place until you know you are ready to get out of it. And I would say that you will know, at least for me, you will know when you're ready to get out of it. But like, please process whatever thoughts that go through your mind about your faith, about God, whatever thoughts, whether it's negative, good or bad, process it, please. It will help you in the long run. Because some people like avoiding things. I don't get why. Like, the whole point of processing your thoughts is to help you grow. You're not going to grow if you don't process, if you don't have like a self-reflecting moment with yourself, with your thoughts. That's just the way I see it though. But another thing to do when you're in a spiritual rut is don't be hard on yourself. Don't expect to get out of it easily. That's one of the things that one of my friends, my closest friends, she knows exactly who she is, and I know damn well she's gonna watch this video. She literally told me, do not be hard on yourself. God does not want you to be hard on if God does not want you to be hard on yourself, why be hard on yourself? Even if you are someone that likes to be hard on yourself, you find that that's what works for you, still learn to be gentle with yourself. Because I get it, I'm someone that likes to like push myself, and I like being hard on myself on certain things, about certain things. But when it comes to this matter, don't be too hard on yourself is what I'm saying. When you give yourself a hard time, like, oh my gosh, you're just having a panic attack, a meltdown, all that, don't do all that. You're allowed to have a breakdown, a meltdown, cry if you want, cry if you have to. Let all those tears out. Don't be afraid to cry when you're in a spiritual rut. Do not. It's not a bad thing. It does not make you weak. And if it makes you weak, honey, be weak. Be weak. Be weak if you have to. But when you're done letting all that out, you'll get to a point where it's like it does not affect you anymore. It's kind of like healing in a way. It's kind of like healing. 1 minute you're good, and the next you break down again. What I would suggest doing when you're in a spiritual rut is, like I said before, experience what you need to that got you in that spiritual rut in the first place, so that when you're ready to get out of it at some point, and know that God is the only one that can fill that void. Let me just repeat and summarize what I was trying to say through reading that part. Basically what I'm saying is, God puts, I really do, like, I'm positive that God puts us in a spiritual rut as a Christian. as we're walking, like if we're following him, he puts us in that spiritual rut. I truly believe it without a doubt in my mind. I believe that God puts us in that spiritual rut, because there's no way, because I feel like when the last spiritual rut that I got out of, honestly, if it did anything, it really helped me. It strengthened, not only strengthened my faith in God, but it built my relationship with God in a way that I am like, it's so awestruck, like it's crazy. It built it, it strengthened that faith that I had in God. Like I had more faith in God after that spiritual rut than I ever did when I first like gave my life to God. Experience everything. Experience what you need, every single emotion you have in that during that spiritual experience, whether it's anger, sadness, whatever it is. Experience every single emotion, whether it's rage, anger. If you gotta let it out, let it out. I feel like being in a spiritual rut is kind of like healing in a way. You gotta let all those emotions out. You gotta stop building, letting it eat you alive. Let it all out. Cry if you have to, have a meltdown if you have to, but when you're ready to get out of it, you will feel like a brand new person. You will feel like a transformation. Another thing I would suggest doing when you're in a spiritual rut is, like I was saying before, let all your emotions out. Don't try to fight it. Like I was saying, a lot of people like getting in and out of things. Don't try to fight it. I promise. I'm not saying you're gonna regret it, but just don't try to fight it. Like, what is fighting it doing? It's really not doing nothing for you. It's not helping you in any way. So stop trying to fight it. If you're in it, let yourself be in it. Let yourself be depressed. It's kind of like how when a relationship ends, and instead of the person, one individual, instead of healing from that breakup, from that relationship that just ended, instead of them healing from that breakup, they're ready to jump into the next relationship. I feel like that's so messed up. That is so messed up in so many ways. In this generation is beyond messed up. It's like so fucked up. I can't even explain it. I don't even want to explain it. But like, it's kind of like that. When you just got out of a breakup, you just got done with a breakup, that don't mean you jump into the next relationship that you can find. No, it means sit your ass down and heal. Process that breakup. Process the reason for that breakup. Accept your flaws, your mistake. Take accountability, your responsibility from that breakup, and see what you learned so that it can help you when you're ready for the next relationship that's hopefully going to be your last relationship. That's all I'm saying. Don't try to fight it. Instead of fighting it, embrace it. Yeah, I know that's a weird word to say, especially for this case, but embrace all those emotions. Embrace what you're feeling. Embrace it. Stop trying to fight it, because fighting it is only going to make it worse. Fighting it is not going to do nothing. It's kind of like being depressed. Don't try to fight it. Let yourself be depressed, but not for depression. I can't really compare it to depression, because depression is very different from it, I would say. But just don't try to fight it. It's not going to help you in any way. Just let it be until you're ready to get out of it. The last thing I would say, in order to like what to do when you're in that spiritual rut, it's kind of what I've been saying, which is pray in your heart, even if you don't feel like praying out loud. My mom has, when my mom once told me this, it has stuck with me ever since. She always tells me, even if you can't pray out loud, pray in your heart. God can still hear you, boo. God can still hear you. You don't need to pray out loud. You don't need to pray out loud for God to hear you. God can hear what's in your heart. You can hear what's in your heart. So my advice to anybody, whether you're struggling with this, whether you're in that spiritual route or not, pray in your heart, because God can still hear you. Now, let's get into how to get out of that spiritual rut. But anyways, how to get out of that spiritual rut. There's like not many ways to get out of it. It's really like basic, I would say. Not basic, but you know, the first steps to getting out of that spiritual rut, like I've been saying from like the start of this whole video, is when you're ready, when you know you're ready, when you literally like got everything out of you. It's kind of like healing in a way. When it's kind of like healing from a breakup. When you're ready, you will know that you're ready for the next relationship. When you've just gotten out of all that anger, sadness, every emotion about the last relationship, you got it out of your system and you feel like you're a brand new person, that's how you'll know you're ready for the next relationship. You feel like you fully healed from that person and that relationship. It really built you completely to the T. That's how you'll know you're ready for the next relationship. Basically, when you're ready, the first step I would suggest is seek help. When you're ready, ask for help. Like I said, whether from your pastor, your parent or parents, your closest friend, someone that you trust. It doesn't even have to be your pastor. It can be an uncle from your church that you trust. Just someone that's closest to you and that you trust the most. It don't even matter who they are. As long as you trust them and you guys talk about these type of things, seek help and talk to that person. Okay, I wouldn't really say talk to that person. I would also say make sure that you talk to someone that is spiritually wise. This is not like a diss or an attack towards anybody. I'm not saying that you have to be spiritually wise for you to talk to that person, but I'm saying some people just don't understand the meaning of a spiritual rut. But then again, God can use that person to help you. So I would say before you talk to anybody, pray about it and then talk. Pray about it, because that's what I always do. I pray about everything before I just dive into the next step. I will literally talk to God before I talk to anybody else. That's a fact right there. The second step to getting out of that spiritual rut, like I said before this, pray about it. Talk to God. Talk to God about how you're feeling, what's bothering you. Like, even if you don't know how you got into that spiritual rut, talk to God about it. Let everything out. God has to be your best friend. If he's not your best friend, then I don't know what you're doing wrong. God has to be your best friend before those physical friends that you can see. Those friends that you actually see their flesh, you actually see their presence. God has to be your best friend before anybody else. That's a fact. I'm sorry, but if you're a Christian and God is not your best friend, what are you really doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you really doing? Like, what are you doing? You're not doing something right. There's a reason why you're in that spiritual rut, because God is not even your best friend. Do you even read your Bible at this point? Do you even go to church? I'm not judging nobody. I'm just saying though. Like, don't take offense. And if you do, if the shoe fits, wear it. But anyways, like I said, talk to God, pray about it, let him know everything. Even if it's uncomfortable for you, God does not care, boo. God does not care. Let it all out. He is waiting for you to tell him everything. I promise you that. I promise you, he's waiting on you. He's ready to listen. You just gotta say what you gotta say. The next thing, the third step that I would say is listen to worship. On how to get out of it is listen to worship music, but also don't force your connection with God. Don't force it. Like, don't force yourself to pray. Don't force yourself to go to church. When you're ready to do all those things again, to get back into the whole spiritual habit of like your whole spiritual life, when you're ready to get back into it, it will come naturally. Don't ever force anything. Yes, don't force your connection with God, because I promise you, forcing it is only going to make it worse. I have done this before, and it only made me feel worse than it did feeling better. Like, I only felt worse instead of feeling better. So don't force anything with God. Like, you can listen to worship music, and I promise you, when you listen to it, it's like God is just, especially when you've been in that spiritual rut for a long time, when you listen to to worship music, praise, whatever it is, you will literally feel God's presence in a way that's gonna make you just drop down and just bawl your eyes with joy, with a smile on your face, with tears on your cheeks, on your face. Like you'll literally just feel like, oh my God, it's like God is welcoming you back home. That's the feeling you will have. That's the feeling you will get when you've been in a spiritual rut for so long. After God is like, it's kind of like when you're being saved by God for the first time. Don't ever force your connection with God. I know that pastors preach this and that, but please let God lead your walk with him. Let him help you with your walk with him, because only God knows how he's gonna bring you closer to himself. Only God knows. Nobody else. Like, he can use people to help you, but only he knows how he's gonna do it. Like your mom is not gonna help you, your friends, nobody can help you with that. Only God can help you with that. Me, I don't try to force my connection. I don't force my relationship with God. Like, I really don't. I even told my mom, I find my way and God shows me the way. He literally shows me the way to go. That's how I've always been. I hate when people try to force their relationship with God, their beliefs about God onto you. Like, I just hate it, because I feel like everyone is different. Everyone is literally different. You can't force someone else's beliefs onto another person. That's not how it works. They will believe in God. God will come to them. God will save them in their own time, when they're ready. When God sees that they're ready, God will save them. God reaches out to people in his own ways. So I just hate when people try to force what they believe in and their relationship with God onto another person. It's just like, that's just annoying to me. Like, bro, leave that person alone. Their time will come eventually. All you can do for a person is really pray for them and hope that God will save them eventually. Let it happen naturally. Let it happen naturally. Literally, because if you really love God, if the love of God is really in you, trust me, it will come back. Everything about your spiritual life will come together naturally. The next two things that I would say is that remember that God uses our pain for a greater purpose. That's all I'm gonna say. There's a reason for why he put you in that spiritual rut. And yes, I'm positive he put you in that rut. There's no way you're in that rut for no reason. He put you in that rut for a reason. So embrace that rut. Don't try to quickly get out of it. Embrace it while you're in it. I feel like it's even a blessing when you're in a spiritual rut. That's the way I choose to look at it. And the last thing I would say is seek God, especially when you don't feel like it. It's kind of the same thing as pray even when you don't feel like it. Pray even when you don't feel like it. Listen to worship music even when you don't feel like it. Do all those things even when you don't feel like it. Just have it beside you. Even if it bothers you, just listen to it. I promise your mood and your heart will start to change a little bit once you have that worship just out loud instead of in your headphones. However you do it, that's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, since my camera is literally flashing at me, I'm just gonna end this video right here. If you literally made it till the very end of this video, you're a real one, and I appreciate you for watching it till the very end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for those of you that made it all the way till the end of this video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and what I had to say, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified and you won't miss out on whenever I post new videos for y'all. And I will see you guys in another one.